Let's take a look at this data visualization, The Counted: People Killed by Police in the US, created by The Guardian, a newspaper in the United Kingdom. The visualization uses data from several sources, including open FBI data and crowdsourced data. Crowdsourcing refers to gathering information, data, or other content from a large group of people, often through digital technology. Organizations, companies, and individuals may gather data through crowdsourcing and use it to create new applications or data visualizations. Crowdsourced data is not necessarily the same thing as open data, though crowdsourced data may be released as open data. Crowdsourced data can be gathered passively, meaning that data can be gathered on people while going about their day. For example, your mobile phone might be contributing to crowdsourced data right now. Your phone might be constantly keeping track of your location, sending data about your location to apps you've configured to allow location-based services, such as mapping applications. Crowdsourcing is particularly useful when there is not a definitive, reliable source of data already available. In the case of the counted visualization, there is not a single open data set that collects information on police shootings in the US. Let's examine where the data used for this visualization comes from by looking at the About section of the visualization. Whenever accessing open data or using data visualizations, look for a section titled About or About this data or Sources in order to understand how the data was collected and evaluate its reliability. In The Counted, the authors note that there is no single comprehensive source of open data about police shootings, but rather that the FBI runs a voluntary program through which law enforcement agencies may or may not choose to submit their annual count of justifiable homicides, which it defines as the killing of a felon in the line of duty. This system is arguably less valuable than having no system at all. Fluctuations in the number of agencies choosing to report figures, plus faulty reporting by agencies that do report, have resulted in partially informed news coverage pointing misleadingly to trends that may or may not exist. As we noted earlier, government data is often very comprehensive and reliable, but in this case, the data available from government agencies are incomplete. The authors used crowdsourced data to supplement incomplete data about police shootings by soliciting input from readers by gathering information from other organizations, such as Killed by Police. Killed by Police gathers and records a list of people killed by U.S. law enforcement officers, which The Guardian uses along with crowdsourced data to verify reportings of police killings and provides links to news stories for each killing. Crowdsourced information contributes to more data being made available to the public. How reliable is crowdsourced data? Crowdsourced data can fall prey to the same kinds of biases or corruption as other forms of data collection, so needs to be evaluated for accuracy. Who was asked? How were they asked? How was the question phrased? What kinds of data were collected? Who was left out? How is the crowdsourced data fact-checked, if at all? Asking and answering these questions can help you to determine if crowdsourced data is reliable and could be reused or cited. When a researcher obtains secondary data, which is data that the researcher did not gather but was gathered from others, the data may need to be verified so as to determine nothing was lost upon being transferred from the primary or original source. This is called data verification. By verifying data, the data is checked for its accuracy and completeness from the original source all the way through to the current source using that data. Just as journalists fact-check before something is published, by proofreading and checking against the original source, errors and inconsistencies are most likely spotted and eliminated. Not all datasets are ready to be used. Because open datasets can be quite large, it's possible for there to be errors in the data. For example, there are many ways to format a date, and some datasets might include inconsistent formatting. If you want to create a visualization or other project using a dataset that has inconsistent date formats, you may find that you need to do some data cleanup, sometimes referred to as data munging, in order to make a dataset consistent and usable. One useful free tool that is often used by journalists and other data professionals to clean up messy data is called OpenRefine, formerly called Google Refine. OpenRefine is an open source program for Mac, Windows, and Linux that enables you to import datasets in formats such as tab delimited text and CSV, and quickly modify them and clean them up. You can use OpenRefine to make data elements like place, names, and dates more consistent, or you can use OpenRefine to combine datasets if essential data is missing from a dataset. If you are interested in learning more about OpenRefine, there are 3 tutorials about how to use OpenRefine linked in the resources section of this module.